Hey there, welcome back. This is Lacey here with A Sweet Pea Chef, and I am so glad you're here. I'm gonna be showing you how to make a healthy comfort food turned healthy and make it into a meal prep for a delicious, satisfying, healthy meal prep for the whole week. We're gonna be making Salisbury steak with some mashed red potatoes and some sauteed peas. I'm also partnering with Bob's Red Mill today to show you how to use their amazing garbanzo bean flour to make our delicious mushroom gravy for our Salisbury steak. Luscious, high fiber, and so creamy and dreamy. So let's get started. All right, so we're making 3 different recipes today, and I'm gonna get started with the potatoes because they take the longest to cook, and we need to get them cooked before we can turn them into mashed potatoes. We're gonna be steaming them, and I use red potatoes, but you could also use Yukon potatoes, you could do a mix, whatever potatoes you prefer. I just like red potatoes, so I use those. Also, I don't take the skin off. I leave the peel on the potato. There's more nutrients in there. There's absolutely no reason to take it out unless you just really don't like the texture, in which case you can peel it. But for me, I like the texture, I like the extra nutrients, and it's easier not to peel. So no peeling is a big win for me. So we're gonna heat a stock pot with some water over a high heat, and then we're gonna add our potatoes to a steamer basket and then place it over the boiling heat. Then we're gonna cover and cook our potatoes until they're fully tender. You can tell if they're tender for when you poke a fork into them, if it goes in easily. Once it's that way, it should take about maybe 10-15 minutes at the most. Once you have tender potatoes, you can remove them from the heat. Also, if you don't happen to have a steamer basket, you could just add a little bit more water to your pot and then you could boil the potatoes. I personally prefer steaming. Boiling also cooks them through, and you could also even roast them if you wanted. All 3 ways are great ways to get cooked potatoes for our mashed potatoes. Now add your cooked potatoes to a large mixing bowl along with some sea salt and some ground black pepper. Using a fork or a potato masher, we're pretty much just gonna mash this all up. We're not looking for it to be super pureed. We basically want it to be kind of smashed red potatoes here. If you find that your mashed potatoes are just a little bit too dry and they seem a little bit crumbly, you can add in a little bit of low sodium beef broth and then stir it all together. Usually that'll make it nice and moist for you. Now go ahead and set our mashed red potatoes to the side while we prep our Salisbury steak. So if you're right now wondering what the heck is Salisbury steak, I've seen it on menus before, but I've never had it. Let me tell you, it is so good. It's a comfort food that's kind of like if a hamburger and meatloaf had a baby and then got smothered in like a gravy or some sort of brown sauce. It's typically not very healthy. It typically has a bunch of salt, a bunch of refined flours, a bunch of fat, and it's not that good for you. That's not the case today, and I'm gonna show you how to make it healthy. So in a large mixing bowl, we're gonna add some ground beef. I use 85-15 organic grass-fed beef. Any ground beef will do, however. Followed by some finely diced yellow onion, sea salt, ground black pepper, fresh garlic, and then we're gonna mix it all together until it's mixed very, very well. Then using your hands, we're gonna press it out into patties and then set those patties aside. Now heat a little bit of olive oil in a large skillet, and then we're going to add our Salisbury steak patties to that hot oil. It's going to cook over medium-high heat, and what we're looking for is to create a nice golden crust on both sides. It should take about 6 to 8 minutes per side. Once you have that delicious golden crust on both sides and your Salisbury steak patty is cooked all the way through, go ahead and remove it from the heat. Then into that exact same pan, no need to clean it, we're gonna add in some diced cremini mushrooms. We're gonna cook the mushrooms for about 4 to 6 minutes, stirring occasionally until the mushrooms start to break down and become soft. Then we're gonna sprinkle some Bob's Red Mill's garbanzo bean flour over our mushrooms, and we're gonna stir it all together until all of that garbanzo bean flour is incorporated with the liquid. Once that starts to thicken, we're gonna add in some low sodium beef broth and red wine vinegar, and then we're gonna stir to incorporate. You're gonna see here that the sauce is gonna start to thicken at this point. The garbanzo bean flour is awesome. It acts just like all-purpose flour, except it actually has all sorts of goodness in there for you, and it's unrefined. You have fiber and protein in there, and it's just basically garbanzo beans, so it is so awesome to be using that instead of some refined flour. Plus, it works perfectly as a substitute for all-purpose flour for thickening sauces, which is just so awesome. And it's such an amazing, like, magic flour. Then we're gonna cook this for another 4 to 5 minutes, and we're looking for the sauce to become thick because this is our delicious and healthy mushroom gravy that's gonna be going over our Salisbury steak. Once you have it that texture, go ahead and return our cooked Salisbury steak patties to the mushroom gravy. And we're gonna cook for another 3 to 4 minutes and let it all get nice and cozy and friendly in there. Then just go ahead and remove that from the heat while we get our peas together, which is a really easy, high protein and healthy green side to go along with our Salisbury steak and our mashed potatoes. So heat a little bit of olive oil over medium-high heat in a large fry pan. Then add some minced yellow onion and cook this for about 4 to 5 minutes until it starts to become tender. We're not wanting to really overcook anything here and get a golden brown. We just want the onion to be nice and tender, and since it's minced, it's gonna cook pretty quick. Then add your peas. They can be frozen or fresh, either one will work, followed by a little bit of sea salt and a little ground black pepper, and then stir to combine. We're gonna cook this for another 4 to 5 minutes, stirring occasionally so that the peas get cooked through. To get our meal prep containers ready, I've grabbed 6 glass meal prep containers, which I absolutely love for using with meal prep because they are sturdy, they reheat well, I can see what I'm putting in them, and they are reusable, which is awesome. I have the link for where to get them if you want, or you can just use whatever storage containers you have. We're gonna need 6 of them. We're gonna start by dividing our mashed potatoes into the 6 different containers. We're gonna put it on one side of our meal prep container. The portion that we're adding in here, divided evenly, is gonna be a little bit over half of a cup of mashed potatoes. Then on the other half of our meal prep containers, we're gonna add in our sauteed peas. This is also divided, it's about half of a cup per meal. Then we're gonna take our Salisbury steak patties and gently lay them on top of the peas and leaning against the mashed potatoes right there. And then we're gonna drizzle over that creamy, dreamy, healthy, high protein, high fiber mushroom gravy that is life-changing. Then go ahead and put a lid on our storage containers, and then we can put them in the fridge. They're gonna last for up to 6 days in the fridge, making it a really great comfort food, lunch or dinner that you just grab from the fridge, remove the lid, and heat it for about 2 minutes until it's heated through. That mushroom gravy using Bob's Red Mill's garbanzo bean flour is seriously one of the best things ever to just smother on these Salisbury steak patties. I hope you love it as much as I do. Thanks so much to Bob's Red Mill for sponsoring this recipe, and for more information on Bob's Red Mill and garbanzo bean flour, I have a link in the description below so you can check it out. And make sure to check out my other healthy meal prep recipes for more meal prep, healthy lifestyle inspiration, because you know I'm all about that comfort food made into meal prep and making life so much easier. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.